3, 2, 1, go.
I'm back at a busy park in the UK at 8:48 on a Saturday morning, which can mean only one thing. It's parkrun time! Before we get into it, I spot this man here on the right, wondering what he's picking up in the middle of the path. It's a little slug. He obviously cares about his run, but he doesn't want any slugs harmed in the making. Love to see it. Last time I raced parkrun, I had a four-legged rocket named Amelie pulling me along. This time, it's just me. So today, we're finding out how fast can I really go without the chaos and the fun that the dog brings. So, Lordship Recreation Ground Parkrun. Pretty nice turnout. I think around 150 to 200 people most weeks. First time I've been here, and I didn't want to take the front line, so I just popped myself into the third row. Potentially a few pacey people around, but judging by the shoes, although anyone can buy fast shoes. As you'll see in a minute, when the GPS map pops up in the bottom left, it's a pretty straightforward course. You've got the start-finish straight, which we're standing on now, and then it's 3 and a bit loops. They describe it as flat. Now, as someone living in Berlin, which is possibly the flattest and fastest place I've run, I wouldn't call this exactly pancake flat. But compared to Ali Pali just around the corner, this is flat.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. Dodging a few people, getting a slightly slower start, but here we go, starting off strong. Remember, as they say, parkrun is a run, not a race. So it's all very amicable as we just settle into our own individual rhythms. You can see here on the right the tape for the funnel. This is where the finish line will be when we come round for the final lap. Here's a guy running along with his phone in his hand. Now that's an absolute flex. Out on a parkrun, probably running a sub 20 and just holding your phone the whole time. I'm a big fan of that. I tried to take the inside line here, but stumble a bit and twist my ankle around the corner. I managed to keep going though. Holding the inside, which I'm not sure makes much difference on this course, and certainly not if you take a tumble, but hey, always makes sense to take the shortest line possible. At this point I was doing about 3:30 per kilometre or so, and my heart rate was starting to show it. Coming around the corner, avoiding the dog walkers who seemed pretty surprised and not unexpectedly. Yeah, so that's squeaking. That's from the chest strap for the camera. I didn't have it fitted properly, again, and the 2 plastic parts were rubbing, so I didn't notice this on the run, but looking back now, it's driving me absolutely crazy. You come around the next corner, you'll see off to the left in a moment, there's an option to go down a path to the left. That's for the final sprint. But for the rest of the laps, we head over this bridge and onto what I'm going to be calling the first climb. They said this course was flat, but I beg to differ. It's quite nice to see that by this point, a few people have started to group into a little pack of 5 just ahead of me. Some taking the wind and some just sitting in. Now, I didn't want to let that group go. I wanted to make the most of the wind shelter because as we come around the next corner, dodging a pedestrian there, we're going to be heading straight into a headwind. So I dug deep and you can see my heart rate starts to climb, trying to kick back and get into their draft. Looking at that flag, you can tell the wind's blowing against us. Just as we reached the top of the hill, I managed to get tucked in, back into the shade of this guy in the light blue top, and he's quite a bit taller than me, so excellent shielding. I edge off slightly to the right, the wind's coming from the left as we come around the corner, I dive in to take the inside again because they're starting to pull away from me. Now it's downhill, and I like to think I got a pretty decent descent, especially on concrete, so I was happy I'd be able to close that gap. Again, staying tucked in onto the left, trying to get as much shelter as I can, but actually it didn't make too much difference here because we got the bushes off to the right, so there wasn't too much crosswind. Just wanted to sit on these boys' heels, keep the pace up, and that's what's really nice about running in a group. I didn't have to look at my watch at all. As long as I stayed with them, I knew I was on for a good time. Painful, but sustainable. My heart rate is sitting around 172, which I can definitely hold for a 5k. Shout out to the photographer. Took some great pics. I'll show you these now. Okay, he took some pictures. I promise. I do enjoy running. We hit the end of the first lap and come past the start-finish straight. Lap 2 begins. Now, I know the course, I know the turns. Hopefully, I'll be a bit more comfortable and better at taking the corners, because I know the bottom part of this course looks straight on the GPS map, but in real life, it felt way more wiggly. My breathing is really starting to ramp up now, and I'm getting consistently into that 170 plus beats per minute zone. starting to get uncomfortable. And as such, someone comes past me. Now, fair play to this guy. I saw him warming up earlier and he was absolutely flying, probably warming up using 330s per kilometre or maybe even faster. He's a machine.
Cheers, Mike.
Shout out to Mike, the tail walker, and shout out to all the volunteers. Now we're starting to hit some of the congestion from the rest of the field. Makes it a bit trickier when you've got 5 people in front of you. You're just hoping the person in front of you picks a clean line through. But big thanks to those folks for moving across. You can see at times I start to slip back a little, and that's where the group really helps. Just having someone there right in front of you makes it so much easier mentally. You don't have to worry about pace, just holding on.
Thank you, Marshall.
Okay, so bit of context to that bloke's statement.
Just want to welcome any first-timers or tourists. I know we've got some people from the Isle of Sheppey, West Yorkshire, Aylesbury. Has anyone got anything to beat that?
Germany.
Germany. Lovely, Mike.
Honestly, watching this back, I have no idea how that squeaking didn't drive me mad. Do wonder if it bothered the other runners, as this guy even has a quick look back at me. Now with the top 5 runners moving ahead, what's incredible is the 2 just in front of me are still having a full-on conversation. We're running at 340 per kilometre and they're just chatting away. I mean, meanwhile, if you can hear my breathing, I'm definitely not up for a chat. As we hit 3k and the start of the 3rd lap, that kilometre was 3:45, only 3 seconds slower than the previous one. Still steady, not dropping off a cliff yet. One thing you'll have noticed though, I've been at the back of this group. Pretty much everyone else has taken a turn at the front at some point and I haven't. Slightly worrying signs. Now maybe I'm the weakest one here because my heart rate is now at 178 and that's not a super comfortable pace to be. Alright, now I'm starting to wonder how much longer I can hold on. Hopefully at least to the top of the hill. Downhill is a bit easier, so we'll see. Path narrows here again as we come over the bridge and makes things a bit trickier, especially since there's a bit of broken path off on the right, which unnerved me a bit, but we survive and no trolls under this bridge. And now the group's starting to get away from me. I try to hold on, not let the elastic snap, but yeah, they're getting away. Lovely for the sun to come out, although I was absolutely roasting by this point. Heart rate climbing again, 179, 180. Pushing stick with them as we reach the top of the hill. There we go, 181. Oof. That's it. They're gone. Elastic snapped. Kilometre 4. I'll be honest, I was a little bit worried that I dropped off massively, but actually, kilometre 4 was 1 second faster than the 3rd kilometre at 3:44. So clearly the boys in front have been pushing on. They've been working hard and they're ready to kick. They've clearly been keeping something in the tank, whereas I've just been struggling to hold on. I keep pushing, the heart rate isn't dropping, so maybe I can catch them again, but it's headwind time, so probably not. That said, having a few more runners on course means it's a bit more sheltered than on previous laps, but it also means more weaving and cutting through. It's getting tough. And that's the front group really gone now, probably 30-40 metres ahead. A shame, I had illusions of grandeur that I'd be able to outsprint them at the end, but not today. Trying to keep the outside line here as the other runners move through. Everyone's cutting that chicane for the fastest line and I can't blame them. Now in Berlin, we'd call this section a hill too. Suddenly 2 metres of elevation. That's a hill. Final bit now, kids with instruments cheering us on always lifts the mood, although the smile probably didn't quite reach my face by this point. 170 metres to go, heart rate 180, 181, coughs coming through, never a good sign. Do I have anyone in front I can catch? I'm not sure, but I go anyway. Final corner, apologies here for that cheeky little cut, and we're into the final straight. Time to pump those arms. I checked later, I was running at just under 3 minutes per kilometre for that final push. That's the start line, I've gotta keep pushing. Photographers ahead, I'm not sure that's a good photo. And finally, head down, eyes closed, stop the watch on the line. That was tough. Not sure which of the guys in front actually finished first, but fair play, solid runs all round. Some of us more out of breath than others. So, what was my time? Well, for those of you good at maths, you may have figured it out already. did I beat the time I ran with Amelie the dog, remembering that was a 19:20, although at an arguably slower course. Sorry Amelie, but of course I did. And by 40 seconds, love to see it. Obviously this was without any real hill, but still pretty pleased. And only 10 seconds slower than my track time for 5k less than a month ago, so overall very happy and bodes well for how my training to get that sub 3 hour marathon at Berlin Marathon in September is going. If you haven't already, check out the video where I ran Parkrun with Amelie the dog, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see whether I managed to hit my ultimate goal as we race to sub 3.